So we'll start on the back today. And if you have a resistance band, you can have that close by. If you have one small hand weight, you can have that close by for a little later, easy access. Good, and when you're on your back, if it's comfortable, you can have your feet to the floor, knees bent, maybe letting the knees knock in. And settle your shoulders on the floor, settle a comfortable position for the head. Maybe rest the arms by the sides, or palms could rest on the front of the abdomen. And if the eyes are closed, well, you could choose to have the eyes closed or open. Take a few moments to breathe here and just be with your body, whatever room you're in. Inviting your senses to notice anything about that room. So maybe the sense of weight, maybe texture on the back of the arms or the feet. Any quality of air around your body. Maybe sounds or light. And see if you can notice any movement of your breath now. You don't have to change your breath. You're just giving it a bit of attention. Noticing the inhales and the exhales. And sometimes it's possible to notice that little space between the inhale and exhale. And now that you've identified where your body is in space and where your breath is and how it's moving, just get another little moment of noticing how you feel in this particular part of your day. So any brief acknowledgement of mood that might be present for you. Remembering you don't have to change it. It will likely change on its own. Just noticing any mood. And if you have an intention that you might like to set for your practice, a focal point that gives you some sort of anchor, you can set your intention. It might be to focus on breath, or it might be some sort of mantra that you're working with. Clarifying your anchor point, your intention. Notice again your breath and start to expand the inhale, seeing if maybe the back ribs can become more in contact with the floor, like fanning those back ribs down into the mat or the carpet or whatever you're on. And then as you exhale, breathe out through the mouth, like a big old ha breath, like you're fogging up a mirror. You're gonna exhale as much as you can. Breathe in again when you're ready, filling up those back ribs. Exhale. Continue that, breathing in wide and deep. Feeling all of the rib cage expand. That's a lot of that core area is the rib cage. Exhale, let that breath go through the mouth, and as you breathe out, see if those ribs can hug in towards the abdomen. You're trying to close the low ribs down, and you might even feel some muscular engagement down there. Take about 3 more of those breaths, breathing in deep. You can breathe in through the nose. Exhale, low ribs gathering down towards the hips. And continue breathing in. This time on your exhale, do the same thing, breathe out. Knit those ribs down, and maybe hold the breath out for a brief moment if that feels all right to you. Last inhale through the nose, breathing in wide, expanding ribs. Exhale through the mouth, flat up the mirror, breathe all the air out. Ribs gathering in and down. Maybe hold the exhale out for a brief moment. Good, and then let that breath just come back to a normal inhale and exhale. We're gonna work a lot during this course on these low ribs gathering down towards the hips, rather than letting the ribs lift towards the ceiling, especially on exhale. Okay, bring the feet up off the floor. Press both palms into the tops of the knees, or the tops of the thighs, rather, that point just by your knees. You're going to find some strong contact as the palms press into the legs, but also press the knees into the palms. And there you might feel some stuff happening in your core. You might feel some residual activation through your trunk muscles down in the abdomen. Breathe in here. You're keeping that contact between hands and knees. See if you can widen those ribs on your inhale. And then exhale, get that big foggy exhale breath out. And the low ribs might start to knit down a little bit more. 2 more of those. We're not going to move much here yet. We're just getting that breath locked in. Breathing in when you're ready. Exhale out. You're probably going at a different pacing than I am for your breath. That's totally fine. Strong palms, strong knees. You might even feel some stuff happening in the fronts of your hips. Your front hip muscles, some of them are connected into the muscles of your diaphragm, your breathing, primary breathing muscle. 1 more time here. Press knees, palms, palms to knees, breathing in, widening. The ribs, exhale. Everything gathers down in the rib cage. Cool. Keep the left palm and left knee in strong contact. Start to reach the right arm and right leg away from one another. Good, low ribs knitting down. You're still breathing, yeah? Please continue to breathe. And remember that you can always change your position if you need to. Yeah, listen to your body. Let's do 1 more on this right side. Noticing what you notice. Cool, connect that right palm to right knee, strong. Yeah, it's like you're trying to smash some raspberries that are between your palm and knee, making some jam. Let's go left side now. Left palm goes long overhead, or left leg goes long towards the floor. It doesn't have to touch. You can hover it as high as you want. Yep, that's fine. And then bring it back in. Left side. Great. Notice if this side is any different from the right side. Does it feel the same? Does it feel a little bit different? Good, go ahead, last one on that left side. And then you can come on in, press both palms to knees, knees to palms. Just one more breath there. Good, go ahead and place that right leg down on the floor long. You can relax your hands. Left leg reaches up towards the ceiling. And you can point the toes if that feels fun. Arms come out into a wide T shape. And start to draw a little tiny circle on the ceiling with the left foot. And it's the whole leg is moving in one whole piece. We're just going to warm up this left hip a bit since we are doing a little bit of squatting later. Integrating our core work into a squat later, so we're going to get some hip work here on this left side. Can you start to draw that circle a little bit bigger on the ceiling? Nice, and remember, low ribs gathering down, stabilizing through the upper body. Maybe that left leg circle gets a little bit bigger now. If having the leg straight is too much, you can totally bend the knee, totally fine. Great, start to change direction with that leg circle. You're starting really big, changing direction. It's okay if the pelvis rocks a little bit. We're not so much focused on that right now. We're focused more on keeping that low rib gathered down towards the fronts of the hips. You can just make that circle a little smaller, kind of medium size. Maybe there's some hip fatigue happening. If there is, I'm right there with you. Smaller, smaller circles. Great, place that left leg down on the floor, reach both arms overhead, big old breath. Exhale. Arms out into T shape, leave the left leg down on the floor. You can reach the right leg up towards the ceiling. Remember, you can bend the knee if you want, or straighten that leg, maybe point the toe. Go for your little circles. It's almost like a spiral, actually. Your spiral starts out small, and then eventually it gets a little bigger. You may have heard of the muscle in the front hip called the psoas. It's a pretty popular muscle. Sometimes muscles get more popular than others as certain fitness trends come and go. The psoas has had a pretty big spotlight the past, I don't know, 6 years or so. But that psoas in the front of the hip, it's pretty cool because it comes up and connects to your diaphragm. Can you change directions with that leg circle, going big to small? So every time that you breathe, you are also working the hip muscle. So working our hip muscle here will also affect the breathing muscle. Slowly coming in, medium circle on that hip. There might be some shaking, and then small circle. And relax that leg down, arms go overhead, big inhale, big exhale. Bring the knees up to bend into your chest. Grab a resistance band if you have it. If you don't worry, you can do this without, or you could use a yoga strap, that's fine. Make a loop, put your feet through it, and bring it out around the low knees. Cool, yeah, take your time to make your loop. And it's warm here in New York. So remember, you need water, take it anytime. When you're ready, you're gonna lift the feet off the floor, arms out in a T shape. Press the legs out into the band or the strap, and maybe flex the feet. Good, press those arms down strong into the floor. Notice if your ribs are flaring up towards the ceiling, like they're open wings towards the ceiling. See if you can pack those ribs down towards the abdomen with that exhale, fog breath. Good, maintain that rooting down of the low ribs. You're still gonna breathe, please, yes. And then bring the legs over towards the left. So it's like a clamshell. You're gonna shift the legs both towards the left. Press down strong through the left hand to slowly bring the knees through center. You might feel some abdominal stuff on your right torso. Let the knees drift slow towards the right. They don't have to touch the floor. Press down strong through the right shoulder, right arm. Yep, we're just gonna tick-tock from side to side. Come through center, rock left. Ribs gathering down, come through center, and rock right. Three more from side to side. You can always adapt as you need to, shift or change for what your body needs and asks for in the moment. Coming through center, bring the feet together, take the band off, and rock on up to sit. Good, you all doing okay so far? Doing okay. Hi, Anka, good to see your face. Hello. All right, you might want your hand weight close by here. Here, let's start with feet to the floor. So far, we've had a pretty stable spine. We can encourage a bit of spinal movement because we do want that puppy to be able to move. Palms wrap around the fronts of the legs, shins or knees. And see if you can get a rounded turtle shell-like spine shape, maybe tucking the chin in. You can even think about the tailbone reaching towards the heels. That could be an exhale. And then inhale, lift up through the abdomen, the chest, maybe the gaze. And exhale to round. Inhale to lift up. Exhale, rounding, moving with your own pacing. And last one like this, then we'll add some options. And on your next lift, bring the arms to hover out by the sides. Yeah, start to curl the spine again into that roly-poly turtle shell. And then lift on up. Going slow, you might be able to sense a little bit more intricacies that are happening here. But you know, some people like to move a little faster. Exhale. And inhale. Last one here. And when you come on up through that last one, if you've got a hand weight, you can hold it. I'm gonna hold mine on either side on the hex. Yeah, on the hex sides. And I'm gonna hold it in towards the chest, just to keep it close. And then I'll go again, rolling down. If this is too much, you can do it without weight. You can do it with hands on knees. See if you can really tune into that exhale with the ribs gathering down. It's a natural position on the rounding. Rounding leads to some compression here, some kind of wrinkles through the front of the shirt. Good, on this last one, you're gonna stay a bit rounded here. Just for a moment, this is spinal flexion, spinal rounding, AKA like bad posture. I don't think it's bad posture, I think it's a necessary body movement, but that's a very complex discussion that we can have later over tea. All right, from here, you're gonna breathe and lift up, come back up through that tall spine. Pause here in tall spine, yeah, just to feel this. So it's not a rib flare, those ribs are still gathered down, but you're rooting through pelvis and reaching through top of the head. Breathing. Yeah, feel free to change your leg position, totally. Good, on this lift, we're gonna incorporate the hand weight if you've got it. You're gonna reach it out long in front of you, giving it to an imaginary person in front. Cool, then you're gonna start to rotate towards the left. See if that right hip can stay in contact with the floor. Come through center. Exhale, rotate right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Good, if you have 2 weights, you're welcome to have 2 weights in your hands. Whatever suits you here. One more to the left. And the right. Good, come through center. Bring the weight in through the chest. And last little variation here, if you want it, you're gonna lean back a little bit. Without the turtle shell, you're gonna have long spine here. Maybe lift left leg. Maybe lift right heel or right foot. Ooh. There's gonna be some natural stuff that happens in your spine. Roll with it for now. Breathing in. Exhale, rotate any amount to the left. Yeah, one side. Cool. Inhale, rotate. Exhale, rotate opposite direction. Woo, doggies. Let's keep going. Through center. Rotate left. Your feet could lift or your feet could be down on the floor. Yeah, see if your hip bones can stay in contact with the floor. Holy moly, vocal shake, body shake. Last one, lefty, woo, and a righty. Feet to the floor, come on up, you can put your weight down to the floor, stretch your legs out, give them a flop from side to side. Good. And then place both feet to the floor, hands come behind you. You could maybe point the fingers towards behind and press down through the feet and the hands to get a little stretch through the front side of the body, reverse tabletop. We'll just be here for a few breaths. You could lower the pelvis down if you want, and then come right back up into it. Or if it feels better to stay, you could totally stay up and breathe. Great, last round of breath here, wherever you are. Pelvis comes down to the floor. Come on over onto hands and knees, where we'll use a couple blocks or a couple books. So something that's a little bit raised is helpful. If you don't have either, it's okay. Make and do with what you got. We're going to be on the wrists for a moment. Doing a time check here. Can you roll your wrists out a little bit? You can kneel or stand, whatever you want. Sit. You're going to roll through the wrists. Yeah. Change direction. Pops and cracks are totally natural. Nothing to worry about unless there's pain associated with those sounds for you. Okay, go ahead and pull the palms towards the elbows, seeing if you can spread all the fingers super wide. Yeah, so palms face towards you and you're pulling the palms towards the elbows. Yeah, nice. And then we'll stretch the opposite way, reaching the fingertips towards the floor. Yes. Great, and palms come towards the elbows. Yep. Yeah, but see if you can stretch the fingers wide. That's really gonna work a lot of the stuff through the palm and the wrist. Yeah, exactly. And then fingertips point towards the floor. One more of those. Cool, and then you can get a little free form, just kind of shake Okay, make your way onto the block. So you'll place left palm on the block, it's on the lowest height. And then the second block, you're gonna step a little bit further back and over to the right side. It's gonna go underneath your right knee. I'll show you that from a different angle. Like so, yeah. And then, all right, left hand's on block, right knee is on block. And then the hand and knee that's not on the block, you're just gonna set that like a normal tabletop. So right knee, or excuse me, right hand underneath right shoulder, left knee underneath left hip. It's an asymmetrical tabletop. From here, you're gonna breathe. Breathe into your body. It might feel a little funky, this position. You might notice the left shoulder is a little bit higher than right shoulder. What does that feel like? And then also notice down in the hips, the low back. Left hip is a little lower than right hip. So what is there to sense for you right now in that region? Through a breath. Cool, let's move from here, meaning you're gonna push down through your left hand, push down through your right knee, and see if you can hover your right palm off the floor up to about the height of the block. And also see if you can hover the left knee and left shin off the floor up to about the level of the block. Woo, balance. And then slowly you're gonna lower that palm and knee down. You're gonna return to the ground, yep. And then you'll rise back up. That right shoulder comes in line with the left shoulder, left hip comes in line with right hip. And then slowly make your way back to that asymmetrical position. Keep going here for some breaths. Yeah, that asymmetrical position is a rotation in the spine, rotation through the pelvis. If the knee is sensitive, you could always place a blanket underneath that knee, rolled towel. Nice, and since this is a core series, yeah, can you sense into your core muscles what is working, what you might feel engaging to do this motion? And then you're gonna hover and pause on your next lift, yeah? Option here to reach right arm long away towards the wall in front of your head, and maybe reach that left leg long away towards the wall behind your booty. Cool. If that feels okay, you're gonna bring your right palm towards the left knee, curling in underneath the chest, and then inhale, reach long. Exhale, curl in. Trying not to sink through that left shoulder, trying not to sink through that right hip. 3 more breaths wherever you are. Yeah, wrist, roll it out. You could take your time. Awesome. And go ahead and place palm and knee down. You can step off the blocks. This shifts them over towards the sides of your mat. Perhaps resting in a child's pose, maybe flipping the palms towards the ceiling, resting the backs of the hands to the mat. Or if you need something a bit more engaging, you could find a down dog or a dolphin on the forearms. Check in with one breath. Pulling that intention back into your focus. Good, and then you can make your way on up to a seated position for a moment. If you had a resistance band, you can grab that. If you don't have one, it's okay. We'll do those wrist movements again. If you have a resistance band, we'll just add the resistance band to it. How are we going to do that? We'll do one hand at a time. If you have a resistance band, you're going to put your right palm through the band, wrap it around the 4 fingers. Use your left hand to hold it down towards the floor. And then you're going to bring that palm towards your chest and fingertips towards the floor. Yeah, you'll have to manage a little bit. You could even, I guess you could stretch that band away towards the wall in front of your face. That could work too. If you don't have the band, same thing as before. Yeah, you're working to keep the fingers long, opening up through the palm. And what I mean by opening up through the palm is trying not to have like Samantha cat fingers clawing towards you, right? You want to open and keep the fingers long. That's going to work more of the wrist muscles. Let's do 2 more breaths on this right hand, or whatever hand you're working on. Yeah. Cool, and then you'll switch sides if you're doing a banded version. So no cat claws, but rather spreading the palm, spreading the fingers, and then moving in wrist flexion and wrist extension. Good, last 2 there. The wrist is a very complex region. There's so many bones, so many tendons there. You get a lot of use. So it's, in our day and age now, it's an area that's usually fatigues a lot. All right, take that band off. One more thing on the wrist before we do our next side. Curl the fingers in, make a big strong fist. Thumbs curl in too. You might feel some stuff fire up through your forearms. Hold that like a good old stress ball. And then spread fingers out wide. One more, curl it in. Squeeze. And relax. Okay, let's try the other side. Block underneath right palm, block underneath left knee for our asymmetrical, what are we gonna call it? Asymmetrical tabletop hover held. Right palm, left knee blocks. Left palm floor, right knee floor. This side is probably going to feel very different. So just be open to that. All right, find your hover. Nice and slow, right shin and knee lifts towards, about the height of that low block. And the left palm hovers too. And then slowly you're gonna find your way back down. Feeling for a moment that kind of wonky hip position and that wonky shoulder position. And then again, we'll start slow to hover. Trying to bring those hips toward an even-ish plane. Same with the shoulders. And then you find the wonky. So you go from the wonky to a bit more even. Yeah, y'all are looking good. Some of your obliques are working to do this, pulling you out of rotation into a more neutral spinal shape. We use these muscles all the time when we walk, run, reach for weird, awkward things to the side. Let's say about 2 more on the hover lifts. just so you know, we might work towards this in a plank towards the end. This can be done in a plank. And I mean at the end of the series, not today. All right, keep that hover. Keep your hover. Maybe reach left arm long, right leg reaching back. Seeing if you can keep that right hip in about the same height as the left hip, and seeing if you can keep that left shoulder in about the same height as the right shoulder. And then find that curl in, left hand to right knee, rounding spine if that feels interesting. And then inhale to reach long. Curl in, reach long. Notice, keep going. Notice if that right hip wants to dip down into the wonky asymmetrical position. See if it can stay up, up, up. And notice what you feel in your body. Okay, last one. Come back down and hover to the floor. Walks off to the side. Take a moment to do what you need to. Wrists, rest, stretch. Great. Good. When you're ready, go ahead and come on up to stand. I'm going to shift my camera angle here for you. Are you all doing okay so far? Cool. All right. All right, roll through the shoulders, kneel away here. You even let the elbows kind of bend out. And then change directions with those shoulders. There might have been some tension that built up from that previous position. Good, and then shift, you can relax the shoulders, just shift a little bit of your weight from left to right. Good, and then shift a little bit of your weight forward and back. You can even step 1 foot forward. It's kind of like you're dancing in a box here. And as you do that step forward and step back, you might place your hands on your hips and feel the shift of your pelvis and low back, similar to that asymmetrical tabletop where we had the wonky 1 foot, 1 forward, 1 back, 1 up, 1 down. Same idea. All right. Go ahead, come back with your feet. If you're on a mat, you can turn to face the short end of your mat. And step your right foot forward. And step your left foot back a couple of feet or so. You're going to do a standing position here. A little bit of a warrior move. So you're going to lean forward into your right foot. Feel weight in that right foot. And your left foot is an additional support. It's like a kickstand, so it doesn't have a lot of weight on it. You might even lift those toes off just to test in that back foot. Good. Find a big breath in, and then exhale, fog the mirror as your ribs gather down. Feel any of that activation in your core. Breathe in again. You can let things expand, that's fine. Exhale, fog the mirror. Ribs gather down. 1 more, breathing in. Exhale, fog. Ribs gather down. See if you can keep those ribs gathered down and keep that activation. You might even poke your abdomen to feel firmness. Good, but you're gonna breathe still, yeah, but you're gonna breathe up and keep this low abdomen and mid-abdomen firm. With that firm core, you're gonna start to reach your hands towards the floor in the amounts. You're leaning towards the floor. And then you're gonna come on up through a bit of a lift, like a quarter, three-quarter lift. And then lean forward in the amount and lift up. Option to have your arms along the ears, forward. You might feel that left leg and lift. One more, forward and lift. Cool, from here, option to lift those left toes off the floor. Maybe you reach the head towards the wall in front of your head, like a warrior 3. If that's not feeling cool for you today, you can keep that back foot down and try and lengthen the spine toward that wall in front of your head. Notice the ribs. Can you keep them down? Still breathe. Good, and we're here for 3 breaths. Feeling whatever fatigue or feels you got. And if you want, you can think about those hips trying to be in the same height. Yeah, nice mini adjustment there. Back up. Cool, place that left foot down if it's not already. Come on up to stand, step the right foot back. Spread the legs wide, get a rotation from side to side. And as you rotate, you can let your opposite heel lift as you spin on the ball of that foot. So if you're rotating left, you can let the right heel lift up and vice versa. Good, come through center. Did you feel your right hip, right leg working there? No, yes, maybe. Oh, big, up, 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 maybe. I see a maybe and I see a yes. Cool, all right. Step your right foot back, left foot forward. Lean in to that left foot, lean back. So if you didn't feel something working, that's okay. It doesn't mean it wasn't. You're standing on that leg, so obviously stuff was working. Sensation and like internal interoception is the word for how we can be aware of how stuff is working or when it's working. That's a skill over time, over different positions, over different amounts of training. All right, lean into that left foot. Back foot is kickstand. Maybe that back foot has a little bit less weight on it, so you can lean more into that front foot. Arms could reach along the ears. And as you exhale, you can float the chest and head and arms down any amount, finding that spinal rounding. And then inhale, lifting up, working also a bit of our back muscles or spinal extensors, the muscles that help you back bend. Rounding forward and down, keeping your weight forward in that front foot, and then lifting up through the spine, any amount. And round down. Oh, we have a baby joining us for yoga. How exciting. She's not a baby anymore. She's a toddler. Last one. Great, and then keep that lift to your spine. Option to lift that back leg, back foot off the floor. Seeing if you can exhale firm through those low ribs. Breathing wherever you are. Keeping that right hip more or less even with the left hip. Not because it's the quote unquote right way, but because it is giving us a neutral, access to a neutral-ish spine position today for Just our purposes of evenness through the rib cage. Great, place those right foot toes down, come up to stand, step that foot, both feet underneath your hips. And we'll go on to our final of some squats, some body squats. They're like chair poses with a weight. So if you have a heavy-ish weight, you go ahead and grab that. It could be a super heavy art book. It could be a laundry detergent bottle. It could be your child that is, what is it called, wrapped onto your chest. Or it could be a kettlebell. If you're holding a, what do you have here? You've got some hand weights. Cool, yeah, you could have double hand weights. You've got, oh, is that an ankle weight? Interesting. Oh, yes, love it. Okay. So hold it so it feels firm, secure, and you're going to keep it up into your chest for now. Whatever you've got, you're going to hold it up into your chest. Feet come out a little wider than the hips. Toes can point out a little if that feels all right. Great, you're going to find your inhale, breathing in. Exhale, fog it up. The ribs gather down towards the floor. One more again, breathe in. Exhale. Last one for breath. Exhale, ribs gather down, feeling any firmness through the abdomen. Great. See if you can maintain some of that firm wrapping around the abdominal trunk. And then bend the knees, hips go back and down. Great, press down through the feet to rise up. Show you from a side angle. Knees bend, hips go back. And rise up. And there's many ways to do this. This is kind of an in-between of a deadlift kind of version and a squat version. If your knees come forward, that's okay. That's more like a squat. If your knees stay more over the ankles, that's more of a deadlift, and it will work more of the booty. Either way, keep rolling. And feel what you feel through your trunk. So when we create some of this kind of tension and wrapping around the abdomen, it's going to give you a nice, strong, stable place to transfer force through. So when you press down through the floor to rise up, that force is coming up through the body, up through the spine. On your next one, you're going to pause in your seat any amount. You could be down or a little bit lifted. Up to you. You're going to breathe there. Holding your weight in. Noticing what's going on with your ribs and breath. Knees pressing out. Maybe you sink down 1/8 of an inch deeper. Last breath here. Slowly, slowly rise up. Then you can let the weight come down. And you can shift that weight over to set down somewhere. Good. Come down onto your knees. We'll do one last bit today on the knees to stretch a bit of this front side body. So I'm going to fold up my mat to give my knees some padding. You're welcome to put a blanket under there or a foam pad. Woo! Lost my breath on those squats. Toes could be tucked or untucked. Great, from here, you're going to think about the tailbone reaching towards the knees. So it's almost like you're thrusting the fronts of the hips forward. And as you do that, see if you can sense engagement through the back of the glutes, your back booty muscles. Cool, and from here, see if those ribs can stay rooted down. And then bend through the knees any amount to lean back any amount. Yeah, you might feel a quad stretch. And then rise up. And lean back, thrusting the hips forward, turning those booties on. And you can continue with those. Or if you'd like a bit more of a classic yoga camel-like position, you could use some blocks on the high height outside of the knees, or excuse me, outside of the ankles. You could have fingertips there or palms. And think about lengthening through the spine. Good, and yes, even in this camel pose, whatever position you're in, the low ribs are trying to connect with those top hips. And you can think from there, a lift through the sternum. So without opening the front ribs, lifting up through that front chest bone. One more breath. And if you see me smiling and waving, I'm just waving to the toddler that's watching. All right, slowly come out of that. Transition your way onto your back for a rest. This rest could look like Shavasana on your back with your arms wide, feet splayed out. If your back feels a little cranky, maybe you put your feet to the floor, bend your knees. And before you rest, you're always welcome to take any last stretches or sways. When you're ready to find a bit of a static pose, you can soften through the eyelids, invite a bit of heaviness through the hips. And bring your awareness to briefly watch the exhale. Not having to control it in any way. Seeing if you can stay on the journey with the exhale from the beginning of exhale all the way to the end of the exhale. And the mind wanders. You can bring it back to the exhale breath. Encouraging with each exhale, a bit of softening through the legs and arms. Providing relaxation through the jaw. Muscles around the eyes. Each exhale, an opportunity to let a little something go. Taking your awareness now to the body as a whole entity, just noticing how you feel in your body right now. Perhaps it's a sensation. Perhaps there's a mood. And acknowledging the time that you've taken for yourself and for your body here. And just give a bit of gratitude to your intention, your focus. You're welcome to stay as you are in this restful position, or if you'd like, you could come up to a seated position. And we'll take one last moment together for a moment of gratitude, perhaps bringing the palms towards the chest, softening the eyes, and acknowledging whatever it may be that you might feel grateful for in this particular moment. And thank you all for joining today, live or later in the recording. Let me know if you have any questions or you want to hang out and chit chat for about 5 to 8 minutes. I'll be here.